Hello everybody, this is Dr. J and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a bilateral ear cleaning and I would like to share this with you, and I think the primary goal today is to talk about ear care and how we manage a dry ear canal. This is the patient's right ear, and obviously it's almost completely obstructed and is starting to cause some problems with her hearing. You can see that it's a very opening. It's very golden in color. It's kind of granular, almost sand-like texture, and it is coming up in suction. It's coming up in small pieces, but this kind of illustrates what a dry wax and a dry ear canal will look like when they present to our office. The opening of the ear canal, you can also tell, is very narrow. This is one of my larger adult speculums, and you can see that it's just barely fitting inside the opening of the ear canal. And in this scenario for this patient, the narrow ear canal opening, as well as the dry status of the skin and wax of the ear canal, is what's creating the situation where they needed some help. My typical regimen and process for these patients is, number one, to alleviate the obstruction, and you also can think of it as, I'll take out of the ear canal whatever it will give me, and I won't force it to give me more if it's just not ready for it. But you can see that the dry skin in the patient's ear canal is coming very easily, and so very gently we're just trying to pick up the anterior margins of the skin and then just gently tease it back as far back as we can go. My typical routine for these patients is number one, clearing the blockage, educating the patient on why they're having issues, which in this scenario is narrow opening and dry skin. But it can also be complicated by a large amount of hair at the opening of the ear canal. It can also be complicated by chronic Q-tipping and actually pushing debris back into the ear canal. Hearing aids, hearing protection in little ear foamies that you mash up and put in the ear canal. All of these things can tend to inhibit the normal process of the skin and the wax coming out of the ear canal. The skin edges typically will migrate from the eardrum and go along the canal wall and then out, and that's the normal process of the migration of the skin in the ear canal as the new skin layers are generated, which is a constant process for us. Here, when you can see some redness there in the ear canal. That is micro bruising, and this can happen when you do skin peels. Sometimes it can be tender or painful for the patient, and sometimes they don't feel it at all, and you just see it. So I tend to, once I start seeing that, I know that we're probably pushing the limits on how much to actually peel. So on that first side there, I went ahead and discontinued the process on that side and moved to the other ear. And you can see on this side it's just as blocked, and it's the same type and quality of ear wax, and as you'll see, dry skin in the ear canal. Now, when we talk about how to help the patient manage this more on their own to prevent this from causing problems, here in the U.S. we have a product over the counter called Debrox, which is Debrox, and it's just an earwax softening drop, and I usually recommend that they do this probably 1 to 2 times per month in this scenario. And then I'll usually have them back in about 6 months to do a status check on their ears and see how they're doing. Also avoiding things that may complicate the migration of the skin and wax out of the ear canal, such as the hearing protection or earbuds or Q-tipping. If they're in an occupation or they do a lot of recreational activities that requires hearing protection, then I'll have them use an over-the-ear hearing protection versus a in-the-ear hearing protection. You can see here the patient starts coughing. We've agitated the canal enough that the patient's Arnold's nerve reflex started kicking in and they were coughing there. So in that scenario, just let them go through their coughing motions, and then you can proceed as long as their patient's doing okay. And then when they come back, we take a look and see how they're doing, and we compare that to when we first saw them. Some people are doing really well, and they don't have any debris, they don't have anything to clean out, or maybe it was just a little bit that we cleaned for them. And then if that's the case, then I would have them come back even later. I'd say, okay, the next visit, come back in 12 months. If they reaccumulate and it's causing problems again in that 6-month window, then I'll have them come back in 3 months. And we just tailor the patient's treatment and their follow-up regimen as needed. You know, every patient's just a little bit different, and so we just help them as often as we need to. You can also see in this ear canal that there's some redness there in the ear canal. That's also some additional micro bruising that's happening. The same thing we saw on the other side. We tend to get a lot of comments on leaving stuff behind in the ear canal, or we didn't do a complete job. And I just want to clarify for a moment that you don't have to take everything out of the ear canal. Patients who have this situation and they get their initial visit, their help, they get the ear canal clear, and we get them on a topical regimen that works for them and that they can tolerate. They tend to do just fine, and by the time we see them back, the ear canal is very healthy, it's managing itself, and you don't have to completely clean the ear canal. If you were to compare an ear cleaning to, say, a detailing of a car, that would be an inappropriate comparison. It's not necessary, it's not medically necessary, and it's certainly not indicated. Thank you very much for watching today. I hope you're able to learn a little bit about ear care, and we'll see you on the next video. Appreciate you watching.